Riddle me this. What is the only Riddler story that absolutely nobody wants to talk about? In 1992, DC published a 3-issue prestige format graphic novel. It was called Batman: Run Riddler Run, and if the name doesn't sound familiar, it's because nobody really wants to discuss this story. The Riddler is a much more popular character in television, movies and video games than he is in comics. The fact is that there are not many big stories with the Riddler as the main villain. That's a problem that is also present in this story. The title suggests that we're going to read a story about Batman fighting against the Riddler, but that's not true. In this story, a millionaire friend of Bruce Wayne called Donna DeForza has a vision for a modern metropolis with futuristic buildings and, most importantly, completely free of crime. She calls this project New Gotham. However, DeForza makes questionable choices. She hires the Riddler, who is out on parole as a security consultant, and a German fascist soldier called Fritz as the man in charge of the security program for New Gotham. Fritz is the true villain of the story. He is the leader of Perfect Security, a paramilitary force in which all of the members are trained Asian assassins and they all wear advanced robotic armor. Fritz uses New Gotham as an excuse to destroy the condemned buildings of the city, affecting all the people that live there. He is unhinged and he hates the poor, the working class. By the middle of the story, Fritz begins a violent takeover of DeForza's company and continues to destroy the city. As part of his master plan, Fritz fires the Riddler from the company and then he frames Batman for the murder of one of his soldiers. Batman becomes a wanted criminal and the GCPD turns against him. Batman needs to clear his name, and there is only one person who can help him. The Riddler has incriminating evidence against Fritz, but he won't give it away too easily. He agrees to work together with Batman, but he constantly challenges the Dark Knight with puzzles and conundrums. One of the few things that makes this story special is that this is a character study of the Riddler. For the first time in history, the Riddler doesn't want to commit crimes or get money. This Riddler simply wants to outsmart everyone, to show that he is the smartest guy in Gotham. This story shows us that no matter whatever the Riddler is doing, whether it's a criminal master plan or just giving people simple instructions, he needs to make everything into a complex puzzle or a riddle. It's a compulsion, an obsession in everything he does, not just crimes. That is the true nature of his character. The Riddler believes that everything is just a game, which only the smartest people can win. That's why he constantly challenges Batman with riddles. He wants to show Batman his superiority, and he manages to do that when he makes Batman realize that New Gotham is impossible. Eliminating crime is a utopia, and Batman has to face the fact that his war is also impossible to win. In this twisted game, only the Riddler can win. He helps Batman defeat the villain, but he doesn't leave any evidence of the crimes he may have committed. Riddler outsmarts Batman, and he shows off his victory, as he will remain free after all. However, Batman changes the rules of the game and knocks Riddler unconscious so that he won't make it to his next parole appointment. In the end, Batman shows the Riddler who really is the smartest guy between them. The idea of Batman and Riddler working together was not entirely new, as it already happened a couple of times in the past, but in this case, it works to showcase the character of the Riddler in a different way. In the past, Riddler's only focus was to commit crimes. Even when he pretended to reform, it was part of a larger criminal plan. Instead, this story provides a more psychologically complex Riddler, someone who is not only bad or only good. He is an obsessed man with a gimmick, which not only works against him, but also against the story. In this case, it's his puzzles, which include sharks and giant typewriters. Although they are clearly meant as a homage to the classic Batman comics, they break the serious tone of the story. The characterization of the Riddler is what prevents him from being the main villain of this story. This Riddler is more of a neutral agent, and that's probably why the story is ignored. Although it helps us understand the Riddler as a character, it doesn't show us the Riddler as a villain. One of the most remarkable things of the story are the interactions between Batman and Riddler. One obsessed with riddles, the other obsessed with crime. Two brilliant minds trying to figure out each other while dealing with their own obsessions. Watching the Riddler throwing hints that he knows Batman's secret identity and witnessing the Dark Knight trying not to be paranoid is excellent. A pity that this is only a fraction of the story. The majority is focused on Batman and how at first he thinks that New Gotham is the right solution, but after working with the Riddler, he has to face the truth and accept a moral defeat. Even though the moments with Batman and Riddler are the most interesting parts, much of the story dwells in more serious themes like class warfare and urban development. This story shows us how the actions of the rich directly and negatively affect the poor. These topics, while important to discuss, should be carefully handled in superhero stories, as they are simply not entertaining. The story portrays the poor people as heroes and the rich ones as fools. It's a very negative outlook that culminates with a scene of extreme violence against Miss DeForza. This excessive display of brutality against a woman was completely unnecessary, even if she was guilty of all the bad things that happened in the story. Another reason why these books are ignored might have something to do with the art. The artist here was Mark Badger, an illustrator with a very unconventional style. His art seems to be influenced by the Cubism art movement, making this story look as if Picasso started doing comics. This art is something never seen before in Batman. The pages and panels are full of square and rectangular shapes, and sometimes this makes the story hard to follow, as the sequences are not precisely clear. A few of the splash pages have a very dynamic look and they are very appealing, but when a page has many panels with lots of action involved, then you're gonna be confused as to what is happening. It's definitely one of the strangest choices for such a big story as this one. This is, after all, close to 140 pages worth of art. But probably the biggest reason why nobody wants to talk about this story is because of the writer. This story was written by Gerard Jones, who had an extensive career as a comic writer until 2018, when he was arrested and convicted for a very disgusting crime. Since then, nobody really wants to talk about his work in general, but I feel that that doesn't help at all. Not speaking a problem does not make it go away or disappear. The proper way to deal with this situation is to acknowledge what happened, condemn it, and with that knowledge, carry on. I understand not wanting to promote the work of people like that, but in comics that's unfair to all the other people involved, who did nothing wrong. But that is not how most people think, and that's why nobody wants to talk about Run Riddler Run. Because besides all that, this is not a Riddler story. This is a story with messages of responsibility, of the dangers of too much power in the wrong hands, of ethical and moral dilemmas. Valuable topics, but not the most entertaining. Aside from the Batman and Riddler interactions, the story is nothing remarkable, and considering how little impact it had, I would say this story was not necessary at all. And I think that's all I have to say about it, so thank you for watching this video and I hope you liked it. I know it's difficult to discuss such serious topics, but hey, someone's gotta do it. Now, if you like less controversial comics, then tune in for the next video, where we will check out a most necessary Penguin story. In the meantime, subscribe, leave a like, ring that bell, write a comment, all those good things that actually make me happy. I would really appreciate it.